It's been 5 months since my oncologist told me that if I did nothing, I would be dead in 60 days. So that means that I've 2.5 times the amount of time that he gave me, which is very, very good. And every time I make one of those videos, every time I hit one of these milestones, it causes me to sit down and reflect on my journey in the last 5 months, on life in general, on everything job, relationship, friendship, everything. Because being in this situation, even though I sometimes get lost in the day to day of work and needing to eat and shower and, do all those things, I'm in a very intense situation, something that hopefully is going to be the most intense situation in my entire life. And I'm going to look back at and I'm going to be like, that was the moment that changed who I was, that changed the trajectory of my life. And I've been doing a lot of work on myself and I've challenged myself a lot over the last few years. But this is the true. It's kind of like I've been training for a marathon for years. And now it's like, all right, now I'm running the marathon. It's been 5 months that I've been running this marathon. And so far, so good. But for all I know, it's going to take years, maybe multiple years. I honestly don't know. That's the thing. I'm running a marathon, but I don't know when it's going to end. Is it going to be a normal marathon? Is it going to be like a 50K ultra marathon, 100K, 150, 200? Like, I don't know when it's going to end. That's kind of one of the hardest things in this. It's that never knowing when it's going to end and never knowing, well, I was going to say never knowing if I'm going to survive, but that's not true because ever since a couple days after I met my oncologist for the first time, I had this realization, which was two things. First of all, was the reminder, like the realizing, not realizing, but remembering that my last name is Sauvé, which means saved in French. So basically, I've been saved since the moment I was born. The second thing is exactly what I was just describing now. Over the last 4 to 5 years, I've challenged myself physically, mentally, emotionally, like, running ultra marathons, trying to walk 100 kilometers in 24 hours, isolating myself in darkness for 5 days, things like that. And that has prepared me. It's like what I was saying before. It's like, okay, that was my training for the marathon. Now I'm running the marathon. I've been preparing for this for years. I've been saved since I was born, so I don't need to worry about that. Yet when you're running, like when I ran my ultra marathon, I'd been running for a couple months and I was in good shape and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, I don't know if I'll get to the very end of it, but I know that I can do this. I know I'm going to push myself as far as I possibly can. And I did. And even though I didn't end up running the full 100 kilometers like I planned or was hoping to, I only ran 50, I learned exactly what I needed to learn from the experience. The only difference now, as I was briefly explaining before, was this not knowing when it's going to end. When I've given myself challenges like, oh, stay in complete darkness for 5 days. Cool. There's a timeline on that. Try to run 100 kilometers. Cool. There's a distance on that. Try to walk 100 kilometers in 24 hours. Cool. There's a distance. There's a clear endpoint. And whether I reach the end or not, there's still a clear endpoint. Whereas this, there is none. It's kind of like, okay, start running and don't stop until someone tells you, okay, you can stop now. And you have no way of knowing if he's going to say that in a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes, a couple of hours, a couple of days, weeks, or months. And same thing for me. It's like, okay, I don't believe I'm going to die. I believe with every fiber of my being that I will survive. I don't know exactly what I'll have to do in order to do that. I don't know exactly how long it's going to last, but there's no doubt. Yet it's just like this, because it's been 5 months, this has become my everyday life. I've gotten used to it, which sounds kind of strange to say. It's like I've gotten used to throwing up. I've gotten used to coughing nonstop. I've gotten used to feeling so weak that I get winded when I walk, upstairs or stuff like that. It's like I've gotten used to all these things that I never thought I would ever have to get used to, but I did. And now this is my new normal. That's why sometimes, like, I share these videos, I'm just like, this is so boring because to me it's normal. But to most people, to me in the past, and hopefully to me in the future, when I look back at this, I'll be like, wow, that was not normal. I'm really glad I shared this experience throughout the journey. So yeah, that's kind of a quick summary of the last couple months. Something else I would like to mention. As you've probably noticed if you've been watching my videos for a while, my hair keeps growing longer and longer, and that is not because I'm lazy. Don't get me wrong, I am lazy. But that's not why I'm letting my hair grow. The reason why, as I mentioned in a video, months and months ago, a couple days after I met my oncologist for the first time and he gave me my diagnosis and everything, no, sorry, the day after, I shaved my head completely. And even though I kind of look bad with shaved head, to me, it was a physical representation of what I was going through because I knew I'm entering the most intense, the most extreme phase of my life, and I want to physically represent that. So it's like, all right, I'm starting anew by removing all my hair and starting from scratch. And at the same time, I knew every day when I look in the mirror and I see my hair getting longer and longer and longer, it's going to be a physical representation of I'm healthier. I'm, doing what I need to do to live, to heal, to get better. And the hair growing is that. It's that representation of me healing, me going through that journey, me growing as a person. And lately, especially because now it's getting to the point where it's like it's hard for me to maintain. So it's like it's not long enough and it's not short enough. It's just that in between period where it just kind of looks weird and I don't really know how to comb it or what to do with it. And there's been a couple people who have made comments of like, "Oh, you need a haircut." I'm like, "Nope." But at the same time, I know it kind of looks like crap, which I personally don't care. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I am gonna get married in a month and a half. I would like the pictures to look good so I don't have insane hair, but at the same time, I'm like, even if I do have insane hair, I'll look back in 10 years at the wedding pictures and it's going to be a reminder of what I was going through at the moment. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, I'm like, it's my wedding and I know it's important to my girlfriend and, everything. So I'm like, maybe I should trim it, not cut it, just like trim it so it looks kind of nicer. So still let most of it grow, just cut a bit on the edges to make it look nicer. So I haven't quite decided that. We'll see. My girl, I spoke to it about it with my girlfriend. She's like, whatever you choose to do, I support it. So do what feels right to you. And that's kind of been what I've been leaning into lately, in general, not just for the hair. In general, it's like just do what feels right to you. Listen to your body. That's why I stopped with, everything organic with, removing almost all carbs, removing all sugar, removing fruits and everything. It's like I did it when it felt right. But then there was a period I'm like, I don't know if that's the right thing anymore. And I decided, you know what? Let's just surrender. Let's do what feels right for food, for everything. I need to lean into this. I think that's one of the big parts of this journey for me is this surrender, not necessarily to the universe, even though, I've sensed that's something I need to do for a long time. And I think maybe this experience is partly related to that, but I'm just not ready to do that yet. But I need to surrender to myself, to surrender to this experience, to surrender to this illness. Not to mean surrender as in I give up, but surrender in the sense that it's like, okay, I don't know how long this is going to last. The way it's going, probably it's going to be years. So I need to just authentically be myself. I need to not hold back. I need to not stress. I need to not worry. I need to not give a fuck what anybody thinks. And it's like I've worked a lot on that in the last few years, but this is the most extreme version of it. Kind of like, oh, I've done these challenges in the past, but it didn't really matter if I failed or succeeded as long as I learned what I needed to learn. This one is like, well, failing means dying. So failing is not an option. Succeeding is not as important as the experience, once again, what I'm going to get from that. So I need to make sure that while I'm doing this, and there is no doubt in my mind I'm going to survive, but while I'm doing this, I need to make the most of this experience. I need to learn whatever it is I need to learn from this. And the only way to do that is to surrender to myself, to surrender to the experience. The other day, I made this conscious decision of like, I'm not going to fight the cancer, I'm going to love it. There's a reason why it's there. It's there to help me. So let's accept it and let's make the most of it. So that's been my journey over the last 5 months. I'll check back in a couple days and I'll make another video like this when it's month 6.